Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, January 11th, 2024. This is live stream number 1006. If you're not overly familiar with this stream, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news and what might be going on in our hobby. So pretty relaxed, just, kicking back, talking about things that have caught my eye that maybe you should be aware of. So simple as that. Of course, I should mention, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more, which you're not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours in order to take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Gruesome Gaming Group. Yes, Triple G is with us, as is Kathy Evans and Matthew Constantine, as well as Martin 7W. It's been a little bit of time since we've seen Martin pop into chat. Good to have you with us once again. Anyway, we are going to jump on into the news right off the bat, and then I will discuss how my first day of the physical therapy went for my back. So, it was okay. Nothing too exciting, but I'll talk about that in just a bit. But let's dive on into the tabletop gaming news of the day, because there is a new edition of the classic Reiner Knizia game, Medici, which is on the horizon, and I've got the latest from Stormforged Games. The beautiful streets of 16th century Florence are alive with opportunity. Step into the shoes of a merchant buyer in the profitable age of the infamous Medici family. Each day, you'll go to the wholesale market, where the highest quality wares await a keen eye and a competitive bid. The finest cloth, exact spices, grain from fields abroad, colorful dyes, lush furs, and rarely, gold from mines far across the waters. A classic Reiner Knizia auction game for 2 to 6 players, now with a whole new look. This new edition of Medici features new artwork and visuals designed to immerse you in the beauty and bustle of 16th century merchant trading in Florence, Italy. Medici takes place over 3 days, rounds, and you'll take on the role of seafaring traders. You'll present goods to be auctioned and bid to fill your ships with cargo. When the day ends, you'll receive coin for your wares. But be careful. The money you'll use to bid is also your end game points. Medici is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it lands in stores on March 13th. Should point out, you're taking a peek at the first player coin, which is available if you pre-order ahead of time. So, and I believe it's while supplies last. And as far as I understand, that special coin is still available. And I should also mention, if you pre-order right now, you can get the special price of $39.99. So you can save $10 off the MSRP. Very nice. I'll be the first to point out, I have never played this. I gotta be honest, I don't think I have. Let me access the old memory banks here for a moment. I think I've maybe played 1 or 2 Reiner Knizia designs in my lifetime that I actually recall. Now, it's possible I may have played something not knowing that it was a Reiner Knizia design, but yeah, I think maybe once or twice. That's about it. But always heard good things about this. This is a classic. So this is before we got into that period where Knizia was, sorry to say this, kind of phoning things in and just rehashing a lot of his designs, just reskinned with different themes, but still the same gameplay. Thankfully, he's kind of back. As far as I know, his recent designs have been unique and well received as well. So keep an eye out for this. It'll be once again in stores on March 13th, or pre-order now, save $10 and get that special first player coin. Kevin R. Smith is hanging with us, and Sarah D., one of our chat moderators, has poked out of the shadows to say hello. Good to see you, Sarah. Let's move on to our next news piece, because now available from GMT Games is the card-driven Tanto Manta, the rise of I think it's Ferdinand and Isabella, if I remember correctly. Here's what I know. 1469. The Iberian Peninsula has been splintered into numerous caliphates and kingdoms over the last 700 years. Warfare, part of the desperate competition between Christian and Muslim faiths, often referred to as the Reconquista, has been the one constant. Now age 18, Isabella of Castile has already been offered in marriage alliances to both Portugal and France. Against the wishes of her brother, King Henry IV, she refuses both deals and instead elopes to marry her original betrothed, Ferdinand II of Aragon. Within 5 years, her brother is dead, and Isabel is named Queen of Castile. But can this fragile alliance between Castile and Aragon hope to prosper, facing threats from all sides? Tanto Manta, The Rise of Ferdinand and Isabella, covers the period from 1470 to 1516, the height of the Age of Discovery, and the years leading immediately into the period covered by Here I Stand, Wars of the Reformation, 1517 to 1555. The game opens with Isabella's disputed ascension to the throne of Castile, a position contested by a Portuguese-backed faction supporting Joana la Beltraneja. I don't know if I pronounced that right, probably not. Ferdinand's possessions are similarly threatened by Aragon's ongoing civil war against forces from the Principality of Catalonia, a faction often supported by France. How can these young Catholic monarchs possibly deal with both of these crises while still pursuing their agendas to unite their two kingdoms into a single Spanish realm, subjugate the Canary Islands, and finish the reconquest of Grenada? Opposing the Spanish player are 3 more emerging powers: Portugal has been immersed in the exploration of West Africa under the guidance of Prince Henry the Navigator. Can they push further around the coasts of Africa and establish direct trade with the spice merchants of India? Meanwhile, the French, initially led by Louis XI, the Prudent, are trying to emerge out of the 100 Years' War against England and consolidate the power of the crown over the nobles of that land. Once ready to push south, the French nation will compete against Spain for lands from Navarre to the west to the city-states of Italy in the east. And the Muslim forces are still roadblocks to all these ambitions. The Nasrid Kingdom of Grenada will fiercely defend against further incursions against their highland strongholds. The Kingdom of Fez in North Africa opposes the Portuguese attempts to deny their monopoly over the spice trade, and additional Muslim forces from the Ottoman Empire and the Berber lands along the North African coast are sure to assist in the years to come. And thus, the stage is set for these four powers to compete on the battlefield, at the diplomatic tables, and across the oceans of the world. Can one of these powers unite their homeland and set the stage for a truly global empire? Tanto Monta, The Rise of Ferdinand and Isabella, is for 4 players. Yes, this is a 4-player game. It's not 2 to 4, it's not 3 to 4, it's not 1 to 4, it is 4. It's for ages 14 and up, plays in 3 to 7 hours, and it does carry an MSRP of $95. It is available now. In fact, I know that because ka-ching, I will be unboxing this weekend. So I will have a first look video of Tanto Monta this weekend, maybe Monday. So we're supposed to have a bunch of snow starting overnight tonight. So I know I'm not going anyplace tomorrow or Saturday, except maybe down here to the Duct Tape Studios to do a bunch of recording. That is what's on my game plan. Of course, should also mention, as with all GMT Games releases, if your interest has been piqued, and if you are interested in how this system works, I did review Here I Stand. This is years ago. In fact, it might actually have been a written review. That's how far back it goes. But it is a very, very cool card-driven system. So along the lines of Twilight Struggle, where you have the option of playing the event or playing the cards, but you can't just throw away the events that are for other players and stuff like that. It's been quite a long time since I played it, but still very, very cool. And I love how this actually will segue into Here I Stand. So once again, available now, Tanto Monta, The Rise of Ferdinand and Isabella. Kabuki Kid and Straight Kismet and Kevin King are hanging out with us tonight. Matthew Constantine says that they played a bunch of Reiner Knizia games back when the Euro games were exploding stateside. Doesn't think he played Medici, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm hoping I am. I don't know. Roger Perdome is also hanging out in chat. Very nice. Matthew also points out, I haven't played a game like that in a long time. 3 to 7 hours might be a bit much for my usual game night friends, though. Yeah, a game like this is something that you're looking at a Saturday or a Sunday, devoting the entire afternoon, early evening into. But you will get a closer look when I share my first look video. So let's talk about some role-playing game news, because a new Kingdom book for Harn is up for crowdfunding, and I've got all the details from my friends over at Columbia Games. The Thardic Republic is a large, prosperous nation in Western Harn. Unique among the Harnic realms, it is neither a feudal nor tributary monarchy, but a plutocratic state governed by a Republican Senate. It is seen by many as a descendant of the mighty Kurani Empire. The Republic is dominated by a few dozen clans who have parlayed agricultural and commercial wealth into status and position. Bureaucracies of civil servants manage the daily affairs of government, with rival families vying for influence when new appointments are made. Conflicts of interest are common, and the resulting system of government has been described as both incredibly selfish and surprisingly functional. Unlike other Harnic realms, the Republic has a standing army. Its legions keep order and defend against foreign aggression. It is also uncommonly tolerant in matters of religion. Public worship of almost all gods is legal, and adherents of many faiths coexist in society, although not always peacefully. The Church of Helia is more prevalent and powerful here than elsewhere on Harn. Tharda is rich in natural resources and exports considerable amounts of high-quality stone and salt. Slaves are a significant element in the economy. My ears are burning. My eyes are bleeding from reading that. Suck it up, Buttercup. Some fight as gladiators in the Pamasani Games, or serve as pleasure slaves, or household servants. But most toil on the estates of the ruling families. The Republic is bordered by the kingdoms of Kanday and Ritham. Relations with both are presently peaceful but tense. Two tribal nations range along the frontier, the ruthless Tolwyn and the wary, often violent Godzilla. No, I did not say Godzilla. I said Godzilla. The Republic of Tharda module is supplemented by other Columbia Games publications, including castles, keeps, atlas maps, and adventure sites that provide a variety of opportunities for role-playing enjoyment. Now, there is a short Kickstarter video. I will point out, what I just shared is what you're going to hear, but you are going to have an opportunity to see much more of this Kingdom book, and there's some discussion of how these Kingdom books kind of drill down from like the city level to the street level to the building level. It's really interesting. Anyway, regardless, let's take a peek at the Kickstarter video for the Republic of Tharda for Harn.
The Republic of Tharda is the 7th installment of Kingdom hardbacks for use with the system-agnostic RPG setting of Harn World. The Republic stands unique. It's neither a monarchy nor a feudal society. Instead, it's a plutocratic state, governed by a corrupt Republican Senate. Conflicts of interest are commonplace, and yet, it remains surprisingly functional. This hardcover also includes the city of Coronan, located in the heart of the fertile Thard Valley. It is the most important economic center of the region and largest cosmopolitan settlement in all of Harn. If you seek adventure of a different kind, journey to the city of Sharon, known as the City of Sins, where gladiatorial games and hedonistic pleasures await. Starting from a bird's eye view, you can drill down, layer by layer, to city streets, specific buildings, interior plans, and resident biographies, providing endless opportunities for adventure and intrigue. The Harn World setting supports a wide breadth of character and campaign styles, from high fantasy to dark and realistic. Everything is knitted together into a believable environment that gives GMs years of material to play with. The Harn World setting has been enjoyed by thousands of role players worldwide. There are over 1 million words in print and 4,500 pages of material in an ever-expanding environment like none other. You will also find a vibrant online community of game masters and players who are passionate about Harn. Go forth now and command your kingdom on Harn World, where the fantasy is real.
The the Kickstarter project is well past the 400% funding mark. In fact, I think it just started. I don't think it was yesterday. I think it was maybe Tuesday. Regardless, you can reserve a copy of The Republic of Tharda for Harn, well, part of Harn World, in hardcover with PDF for a $49 pledge through February 5th, with an expected delivery this July. Now, a few things I do want to mention, and I'll be very honest, I did not have an opportunity to look too deeply into the Kickstarter, but normally what Grant over at Columbia Games does with their Harn Kickstarters is there will be a $1 pledge level. In fact, you know what? Why don't we take a peek right now? I'm going to take a look. So as I go to try to bring this up, oops. This $1 level is usually a bunch of Harn content for you to get an idea of what this setting is like and the sort of detail that's involved. Let's see. There it is. Let's see what we've got here. Now watch, I'm talking about it. It won't be here. They won't have that pledge level. You watch. Zip it, dib it, do. They don't. Nice going, Jeff. Tease all these poor folks out there. But it looks like there was, I guess there was an early bird deal going on. It's really strange because almost always they have the $1 pledge that immediately gets you, I think it's about 200 pages of content for you to check out. So sorry to say, that is not the case this time around. But should also mention that I have some Kingdom books that I should get around to sharing some first looks at, because I finally finished reading Harn Master. This was like 3 nights ago. And I am ready to do a review of that, although I've got other things that I've kind of got slated in the queue ahead of it. But gonna have that. Kabuki Kid says, love the teeth flying from that guy getting punched. But there is some discussion of Harn and Harn World. And I will say that it is an extremely detailed game world. This is the sort of stuff that, if, in my opinion at least, if you are the sort of fantasy role-playing sort that enjoys, let's say, GURPS, right? So you enjoy like really detailed rules and crunch. You're definitely going to be interested in checking out Harn, and honestly, Harn Master. I'll talk about that when I do my review. But really interesting. It's really interesting. There's over 1 million words in print for this, which says a lot. Says a whole lot. In fact, it says over 1 million words worth. So there is that. So very nice to see the latest Kingdom book. I believe, if I remember correctly, this is number 7 in the series. And, oh, here's the other thing I should point out is Martin 7W says, well, if you enjoy reading encyclopedias, I honestly think that I just presented it truthfully. I honestly said, if you like a lot of detail, then you are going to dig Harn World. If you don't need that drill down, maybe not. But this is also the kind of setting where it's like pick and choose what you like and toss the rest out. So One thing I have to say that I think is really well done with Harn World from the releases I've seen is that they're, especially for like the cities, they do establish some important NPCs, and you really do get a feel for what they contribute to that city, what their important role really is, thus allowing you to have an easy use of them in your own campaigns. So I will say that. But no, Harn World is not for everybody. I point that out all the time. But I like it. I think it's pretty cool. All right, so we are going to continue on with the tabletop gaming news of the day in just a wee bit. But I honestly think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
It's refreshment time, folks.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on.
One day, Jim and I were exploring a spooky old Indian cave. Hey, Jim, look! A real old Indian arrowhead.
Yeah, look at this old jug.
That's a fine way to greet a fella bringing refreshments. While you've been digging up old thingamabobs, I got something new and different. Borden's special flavor of the month, banana fudge ice cream.
Borden's banana fudge.
Yes, sir. Borden's banana fudge. Smooth-tasting golden banana ice cream mixed through with good old-fashioned chocolate fudge.
Sure looks good. Mm-hmm. Sure tastes good, too.
Especially when it's a real different taste, like delicious Borden's banana fudge. Kids, ask your mom right now to get the big half-gallon package with Elsie's picture on it.
Hey, Mom! Be sure to buy Borden! Buy Borden!
For Wilkins coffee, you pull this handle.
If I don't want it?
Then I pull this handle. It pays to drink Wilkins.
Yipes, stripes, peach nuts got 'em. Yipes, stripes, new cherry stripe gum.
Yipes, stripes, peach nuts got 'em. Yipes, stripes, new grape stripe gum.
Me first. I'm here to announce new beech nut cherry stripe gum.
Me first. I'm here to announce new beech nut grape stripe gum.
Announcing new beech nut cherry stripe gum. By beech nut, by gum, by cherry stripe, by gum.
By grape stripe, by gosh.
Extra cherry flavor in it.
Extra grape flavor on it.
In every luscious stripe.
In every scrumptious stripe.
By cherry stripe,
by grape stripe,
by beech.
Oops. I bumped that. All of a sudden it's like, damn, I cut off the end of the intermission. Damn it. So yes, everybody's picking up on why I was sharing that Fruit Stripes ad, because it is going to be discontinued. Ferrera Candies owns Fruit Stripe, and it's been around since the 60s. And I have to say, I have not had Fruit Stripe in a long, long time, but I would take a guess it's probably just as bad as it's always been. The flavor was good for the first 20 seconds you were chewing a stick, and then it's all gone. It was like, oh, okay, all righty. So Kabuki Kid asked, the kid in the banana fudge, ooh, that sounded good, didn't it? Banana fudge. was the kid in Monsters Are Due on Maple Street episode of The Twilight Zone? I do not know. I have no idea. I will tell you that was a young Peter Graves. May not have recognized him. And strangely enough, I don't know why Peter Graves supposedly had this inferiority complex when it came to his brother, James Arness. I've heard that a lot of times. I've heard that a bunch of times over the years, that Peter Graves was like jealous of his brother's success in that. And it's like, really? Because James Arness was in the Thing from Another World under a bunch of makeup. And he was on Gunsmoke. I mean, he was in other things too, but mainly Gunsmoke. Peter Graves was in Mission Impossible. He was in a bunch of shows. You just saw one. I don't know what it is. Obviously, it was some kids' show or a show that was aimed at the family. But yeah, I had always heard that story that even though they supposedly got along really, really well, Peter Graves was always jealous of James Arness's success. Weird. Kabuki Kid says, cue the Mission Impossible music. Also points out, yeah, fruit stripe gum was good, but it did lose its flavor in like 10 seconds. Yeah, it was the fastest. But then it used to be like a really inexpensive gum too. So if I remember correctly, now I remember when they'd have the big pack. But you could also find like the 5-stick or 7-stick little pack, and it was always like half the price of, say, Wrigley's. So Kevin R. Smith was asking, why were they treasure hunting at night? Are they sneaking around on the reservation? Those sons of bitches. That kid too, he's a son of a bitch. Probably stealing things off the reservation. Tessie Trekkie is hanging with us tonight. Good to see you. All right, let's get back into the tabletop gaming news, because now available in print and PDF is the Imperial Navy supplement for Traveler. Mongoose Traveler, let's make sure we get that out there. From Mongoose Publishing, thus why I'm referring to it as Mongoose Traveler. Here's the scoop. Without its senior service, the Third Imperium would not exist. The Navy is entwined in the politics and economics of the Imperium, a training ground for the great nobility, and a route to social advancement for the general populace. The Imperial Navy details this massive force from the great fleets down to a band of new recruits. How are the sector and subsector fleets organized, commanded, and provided with warships? How would the Imperium fight and win an interstellar war? How is a starship crew organized? What is the underlying design philosophy of Imperial warships? How do major ships and their escorts interact? How would the old Expanses fleet respond to renewed conflict with the Soleimani Confederation? The Imperial Navy has all your answers. This 184-page hardcover with PDF is available for an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. Sweet. Always like to see Traveler stuff now. Granted, this PDF has been out for a bit, but now the hardcover is out. It is available. It might even be floating around in some of your friendly local game stores as I speak. And hopefully you were able to pick up that rocking bundle that we had talked about a few weeks ago. Because I know a lot of people are always like, oh, Traveler stuff's really expensive. I do not dispute that. I do like second edition Traveler from Mongoose. I think it really does capture the original intent of Traveler quite well, while still feeling modern. But yes, it is fairly pricey. So hopefully, if you were interested in Traveler, you saw that news piece, you got on board, because it was a smashing deal to jump on in to Mongoose Traveler. Kevin King says, I like the fact that they take science fiction seriously in their art, unlike, say, Starfinder. All right, Kevin King, tell us how you really feel. You have to keep in mind, though, Starfinder is not serious science fiction. It's a science fantasy. So they don't even pretend that it's serious science fiction. It's not hard science fiction in any way, shape, or form. It is bubblegum science fantasy or space fantasy. I won't even use science. I'll just say space fantasy, because science fantasy, implies there's some science involved. I like Starfinder. I think Starfinder's a fun setting. And one aspect I think really sells Starfinder is just the sheer number of races that you could have. Oh, I'm sorry. Species, which it can have a player character come from. It's mind-boggling and pretty wild. Pretty wild. All right, anyway, the Imperial Navy is now out for Mongoose Traveler, 2nd edition. Final news piece of the evening, now available as an advance PDF. I'll explain that in just a moment. Is Once and Future for Scion's 2nd edition. And I've got the skinny from Onyx Path Publishing. The Pendragon's mantle lies incomplete, an unfinished story waiting for the right scion to fill the role. Will you complete Arthur's legend, or are you doomed to fail like so many others? Once and Future supplements Origin through demigod play, discussing the power of mantles and the threat of failure that leaves behind unfinished legends. Once and Future contains a brand new Welsh pantheon, the Plant Dawn, story guiding advice for running Arthurian-themed campaigns at all 3 levels of play, as well as new rules for playing historical games. There are 3 adventures at each level of play, meant to be enjoyed in a sequence or slotted independently into an ongoing Scion 2nd edition campaign. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this does require Scion 2nd edition Book 1, Origin, Book 2, Hero, and Book 3, Demigod, in order to play. Gotta say, I don't know if you need all 3 of those, but if you wanted to run adventures in any of those 3 power levels, I would take a guess. Yeah, you would need to have all 3. The 156-page PDF of Once and Future for Scion 2nd edition is available over at Drive-Thru RPG for $16.99. I wish I could get on board with Onyx Path Publishing, because there are some games that they've got that I am pretty curious about. This is one. Exalted, which I think is also a 2nd edition, is another. I know Sammy Uhas, who does our written reviews for many various different games. She is a big fan of their, I think it's their Story Path system. I think that's what it's called, Story Path, which fuels They Came from Beyond the Grave. I always like saying that. As well as They Came from Beyond the Sea, which we've got quite a few reviews of different releases from that system. Anyway, but I've reached out a couple of times and just never heard back. Oh, well. All right. Once again, Once and Future for Scion 2nd Edition is available over at Drive-Thru RPG. That is it for the tabletop gaming news this evening. Now, of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep the Gaming Gang website around. It really, really does. I also like to point out from time to time, if you go to thegaminggang.com and you see a banner ad for one of the One Bookshelf sites, but it's not the one you're going to visit, click on that banner anyway. Once you get to the site, look down, bottom left, you'll see there's a list of all the One Bookshelf sites. Just click on the one you're going to, and it will retain our affiliate code. So the Gaming Gang will still get credit if you happen to make it a purchase. So sweet. Thank you very much. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on over at paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. And a big thank you to Kevin King and the Madman, who I have not seen pop in tonight. Maybe he's running some games, hopefully. Hopefully he's having some fun. Anyway, big thank you to both of them. They have recently stopped by paypal.me/thegaminggang and made not small donations. So big thank you to all of you out there. If you use the banner ads and or stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang. All righty. So Kabuki Kid says they're so bummed about the Janelle Jacquet's news. We talked about that last night. That was our main topic during the random musings portion of the show. Yeah, and I think, now I don't know for a fact. I think things are probably fairly rough for the past few months. Because I remember they were trying to do some fundraising for Janelle Jacquet's medical bills. I remember running across that, and I had retweeted that. Actually, I shared it on my social media accounts. So, yes, it is a bummer. It is. Yeah. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, she was following her plight. It was rough. Because it was some sort of, I saw what it was. I don't recall the exact title of the disease. But yeah, there we go. Kabuki Kid's sharing it right now. But it is some sort of muscular degenerative kind of thing. So, and additional complications, Kabuki Kid says, with that as well. Kabuki Kid also had mentioned Traveller was always sort of the king of science fiction tabletop role-playing games. You know, the funny thing is, in my opinion, it could be once again. Now, I know there's a lot of competition out there for that science fiction role-playing game money. Stars Without Number comes immediately to mind. And of course, let's not forget Kevin King's favorite role-playing game, Starfinder, because we know that's hot science fiction there, kids. I'm not making fun of Starfinder. So, but yes, Kabuki Kids sharing some, man, that'd be horrible. So I guess at the end, Janelle Jacquez was effectively completely paralyzed. That'd be the worst. I point out to my family all the time, if I were to end up in any sort of like vegetative state or any sort of state where it's like, oh yes, even if I'm aware, but it's like, okay, well, my life is now going to consist of me being immobile and that, you know, not be able to really communicate or anything like that. It's like, oh, not only pull that plug, but pick me up and throw me out the fucking window. Because it's like, no way. I could not imagine. In fact, there have been people who have come out of, well, I don't want to say vegetative states because they were conscious. But I know I've seen some stuff over the years about people that they thought, you know, were unresponsive. I mean, they weren't in a coma, but they thought, oh, they couldn't communicate and things like that. And then they find a way to communicate. And it's like, oh my God, to be just like locked inside your head for years and not be able to communicate at all. I would think that would drive me insane. I honestly think it would. I don't know. Do not know. Anyway, so we were talking a little bit about Traveler. Matthew Constantine says, I've been playing in a Traveler game since last year, my first time in spite of being in the hobby for 35 years. Oh, there's a lot of people who've been in the hobby for a long time who've never even whiffed Traveler. Haven't even come close to it. But what I was going to say is that the price of admission to Traveler from Mongoose, I think scares people off. Because there is no $20 or $30 starter set. The starter set, which is actually a good deal for what you get, because it's 3 books. It's the core book broken into 2 books, but nothing's been trimmed. It is all that content. And then if I remember correctly, it also contains a campaign or the first part of a campaign. So there's a good amount of content in that. And it's a box, but if I remember correctly, it's like $90. So, and it says Traveler's Starter Set. And people see that, oh, starter set, sweet. And they're like, oh, $90. Oh, is this a miniatures game? How many miniatures do I get for that $90? Oh, it doesn't have miniatures. It's just books. So there is that. But, you know, I get it. I understand. This industry is not a huge moneymaker. People don't get involved in this hobby, especially role-playing games, looking to get rich. Just does not happen. Matthew says, I was just thinking it would be nice if they did a cheaper starter set, something more like a Chaosium set. Keep it in the $25 to $30 range. Yeah. And not have that be the PDF cost. Because even the starter set PDF, I think is like $40. Don't know. I don't know. But I personally think overall, 2nd edition Mongoose Traveler is really, really well done. Now, that's not to say that they don't have issues as far as quality control with their releases. That sometimes happens. So I'll be the first to point out, I don't own a lot of Traveler. You've seen me share my review of the starter set. So there is that. I mean, Mongoose sent that to me, and I did a couple of videos, and then I never heard back from them. And I gave it a really good score. I really liked it a lot. Maybe they just didn't care for my style. I don't know. But you also have to remember, I am not the sort of person who goes banging on doors for publishers. It's not my style. Never has. It. Even when I'm like really interested in something, as an example, Shadow Dark, right? I was very, very curious about that. And I was like, And I kicked it around and I kicked it around. Do I email and ask for a review copy? I was like, but I really want to check it out. And I finally did. And it was funny because Kelsey Dion emailed back and said, oh, yeah, I know all about the Gaming Gang. I'm familiar with your stuff. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, hey, should also mention that the channel has cracked 12,300 subscribers. Hooray. Yay. And of course, keep telling your friends. Share the Gaming Gang on your social media networks that you might belong to. And don't forget, please thumb up the videos. Or if you don't like the video, if you don't like the show, it's okay. You can give it a thumbs down. You're going to burn in hell for it, but you know, it's okay. You can give it a thumbs down. It still shows engagement. And the reality is, YouTube really doesn't care if it's a thumb up or a thumb down. They just want to see that thumb. And they also want to see comments on the videos. So there is that. So, you know, every day I've kind of been asking those of you out there who tend to catch the show or watch my videos, the reviews, the unboxings, the first looks, the dispatch, to help me out, to help spread the word, to, get more people on board, because, more eyes on the channel, more eyes on the website, always good. So what I'll ask you today is, if you have never visited, or maybe it's been a while since you visited thegaminggang.com, please do. Please stop by, take a peek at some of the news items, toss a comment out there. It is much appreciated. Marius Smith is with us tonight. Howdy, good to see you. All right, so got a few minutes. Anybody got anything they want to float out there? I will point out, I just finished watching Loudermilk on Netflix. I like Ron Livingston. I think he's a really good actor. And I thought it was a damn good show. I'm hoping that they decide to make a fourth season. So it's created by Peter Farrelly, one of the Farrelly brothers. I believe he's one of the Farrelly brothers. And there's 3 seasons, 10 episodes per season. First season, he plays, his character's a lot more asshole-ish than he is in the second and third seasons. He's still an asshole. But he's not as grating, I guess. Although, to be honest, if it was that grating, I wouldn't have watched many episodes of the first season. But really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And I was really surprised. I don't know if you're familiar with the comedian Brian Regan. He's in it. So the premise is Ron Livingston is a former music critic who is also an addict or a recovering addict. So he's part of a sober program, and he's like the group leader for, it's not AA, but it's a knockoff of AA. And then you've got all these other recurring characters who are part of this sober group. And Brian Regan plays a recovering alcoholic. And I was like, man, he's actually a pretty damn good actor. I was like, oh, really surprised, because I've seen some of his stand-up stuff. He's pretty funny, but I wouldn't, and of course his character is more comedic than anything else. But the third season, he was busting out some acting chops. I was like, nice. Very cool. So if you are looking for, it is a comedy. I almost said dramedy, but it's not it's more comedy. And then it's got like bizarre stuff going on. Like things that would not happen in the real world. So, but still pretty funny. Matthew Constantine says, I get snide comments on my channel once in a while. It used to bother me, but now I know whatever they say is good for engagement. Every once in a while, I will block somebody or I will remove their comments just when it's really uncalled for. Mainly because I just don't need that nonsense. But normally, I just leave comments. And it's not really because it's engagement. I just leave it because it's like, all right, whatever. You got to, fire off your piss and vinegar at me. Okay, good. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, when people are like, I don't like the way you do your videos. I now I just ignore it, but I used to be like, well, feel free to invest the time, energy, and money into your own channel and do stuff however you want. Kabuki Kid says asshole-ish. Great word. Anyway, if you are looking for something on Netflix, if you want a new binge, check out Loudermilk. So I recommend it. I give it a thumbs up. Matthew says, I don't get anything too awful, just somebody making fun of the way I talk. Yeah. I always say it, I've got a face for radio and a voice for television. All righty then. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight. I will mention, here's a better look at this. So I had that news piece. So I will be sharing an unboxing video. So that is something that I will be shooting. That is slated for this weekend. I will also finish up my Pathfinder 4 Savage Worlds review. So that will be up. I also plan on having my Shadow Dark review. This will probably be the last thing that pops up because I would like to sort of, I don't want the review coming like right on top of the first look video, which I did last week. And of course, I will have a first look at Black Horse from Tiny Battle Publishing. Kabuki Kid says, a voice for silent movies. Yes. Funny enough, that's why you would see, I don't know how much film history anybody is into out there. I dig it. But, and I especially like learning about things from the period from about, say, 1919 to 1939-ish, that period. So when it was going from silent to sound, and how many silent film actors and actresses disappeared when sound came around because their voices were awful. What do you mean? So you got that. So Kabuki Kid and Matthew Constantine say they're both into film history. One thing that I find kind of sad is just how many movies are gone, disappeared, never to return. there were a lot of films that just, in the process of them not being, massive hits, nobody cared. But, all the copies of it just ended up going up in smoke in more ways than one. It's like there was that big fire at Universal. For some reason, I want to say it was the 1990s, because I seem to recall it was quite a while back. There was a bunch of films that were lost because of that fire. So it's like, pretty wild. Just like you ever see London, is it London by Midnight or London at Midnight? The Lon Chaney film where you see the image of him. In fact, here in the Chicago area, when we had Creature Features, which was on Channel 9, WGN, before it was a superstation, we had, I want to say it was at Friday nights. It was on Friday nights. And 10 o'clock would be my guess, because I remember as a small kid, we would be over at my grandparents' house on my mom's side, and they'd usually be playing like, penny, nickel, poker, or whatever. And once right when Creature Features would come on, my grandfather would go into his sort of, I'm trying to remember what he used to call it. It was just almost like an enclosed porch would be. It wasn't a big room. It was long, not very wide. But I don't think it was actually an enclosed porch. I think it was just a room that was built on the house like that. And he would always turn on WGN, and the music they played was from Henry Mancini. Dun, 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 dun. I don't recall the title of that song. And keep in mind, I was a little kid. I was probably 7. And as that music would play, they'd be showing, Frankenstein and Dracula, the old Universal monsters and stuff. And I'd get scared and I'd go run off until the opening was done. And then I'd come and I'd watch the movie. It's like I was afraid of the opening, but yeah, the rest of it was fine. So anyway, point is, when they would go to a commercial, they would always have just, Creature Feature, and they'd have a picture of Lon Chaney from, thank you, Kabuki Kid, London After Midnight. That famous, where he's almost got like a ghoulish look, and he's wearing a hat and things like that. That movie's gone. If I remember correctly, I think there's about 2 minutes of film that still exists from that. Now, I might be wrong. It might all be gone. And there are only a few still images that are around from that. So, kind of wild. Matthew says, growing up in Maine, we had the Great Money Movie. And if you had cable, you could see the Creature double feature on Channel 56 out of Boston. And Matthew was obsessed with both. John Brunhaver's with us. Good to see you, John. The Library of Congress only preserves a handful of movies every year, though there's a breadth of movies they preserve. Yes. And a lot of times people are like, I don't understand. Why is that being preserved? They tend to preserve movies that have some sort of significance. Sometimes it's a technical significance. Technical as far as filmmaking itself will have the Library of Congress lead them to preserve a film. Doesn't necessarily mean, oh, wow, these are the best films ever made. Although a vast majority of them are. So there we go. Thank you, Roger Perdome. It is Experiment in Terror from Henry Mancini. Hey, at least I remember the Henry Mancini part. Kabuki Kid says the opening to Chiller Theater used to freak her out. Was a thing in the New York City area with a big 6-fingered hand that would come out of the swamp and creepy music. Oh, yes, it was a claymation hand? Aha. Very cool. Very cool. Alrighty then. So that is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a much bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company, and you're also providing me with answers to such burning questions as, what the hell was the title of that Henry Mancini song? I should also mention, if you watch live, but you never take part in chat, you should just say hello. You don't have to jump in and feel that you have to, correspond with everybody, but you should just say hi. Say hello. Because keep in mind, I always try to say hello to everybody who's hanging out. So I don't do the romper room thing. I see Roger Perdome and Kabuki Kid and yeah, you gotta be pretty old to remember that. Kabuki Kid also points out they remember David Letterman hiring Henry Mancini to write their mailbag segment music and had Mancini on to perform it. And then Letterman sort of dissed him by not being impressed by the song. Sarah D points out, chat isn't that scary. She promises. That's right. Sarah says we welcome lurkers here. It's coming from one of our chat moderators who just happens to lurk most of the time. Boone Flyer is chiming in, says Tales from the Dark Side theme creeped them out when they were a kid. You know what I always thought was weird that I was just not a fan of? That show Monsters. And I remember the opening to that show. And now remember, I wasn't a kid at that point in time. I think when that show was on, I was probably already in my 20s. Maybe even late 20s. But yeah, it just was gross. Just kind of was like, then I remember seeing a few episodes of it, and it was just kind of a skeevy sort of show to me. I was like, Kabuki Kid says Monsters had some good episodes, though. Yeah, I unfortunately did not catch any. I think I maybe watched it like 3-4 times when it was in reruns and came on at, I don't know, like 2 a.m. I just happened to be coming home from a bar or whatever, flipping channels to see what was on. So Matthew also points out that show was weird, like a no-budget Tales from the Crypt. Yeah. Anyway, so I was wrapping things up. Anyway, if you watch live, thank you. If you take part in chat, bigger thank you. But of course, I know a lot of people who watch this, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you have not already. And, oh, look, you can help support the Gaming Gang over at paypal.me/the Gaming Gang. Anyway, if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Shadow Dark from the Arcane Library. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a fantastic weekend. Of course, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is as you watch this. And of course, I certainly hope all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.